Okay, hi everyone. So the first thing on the agenda today is going to be the leaf blower restriction, which we talked a little bit about last time. I don't know if everybody got a chance to go over the 2019 proposal that we had put forward. I think most of us were members back then, if I'm remembering correctly. And Stephanie is here today too. So I'm sure she can answer some questions we might have. But I know I kind of gave my opinion in the email. So if you got a chance to look through it, there's number one, we had suggested last time was a complete ban. Then there was a seasonal ban, which you wouldn't allow electric blowers. And then there was one that would, I think, have a phase out date. And so for us, I think we were sort of leaning towards the seasonal ban with maybe like a timing thing. But I don't know, Stephanie, if you want to kind of touch on what the board was thinking.
I mean, we really haven't, we wanted to get your feedback first, but I would suggest doing some sort of transitional ban, maybe during peak season, only battery operated. And then, doing some sort of like over the course of, a year or the next year. But I kind of support banning gas powered ones completely. And I feel like, I'm pretty sure Jason does too. I'm not sure for the rest of the board. So I would definitely support something like that if you guys were to put that forward. You can always put it forward and we can always talk about it and discuss it.
So the beauty of the 2019 proposal was we did have 3 suggestions. So we could go forward, I guess, with having multiple suggestions in there. And then, like you said, maybe you pick number 2, maybe you pick number 1, which is like the complete ban.
That's great.
That leaves room for, I think, discussion. One of the issues that I know Debbie brought forward, which I'll mention since she's not here, is what would the village be willing to do as well? Because I know as far as the village isn't going to be able to replace all of their gas with electric, of course. So would they be following the seasonal ban as well, or would they be kind of not following the rules? Would it just be residents that would be doing it?
Right. So that's a good question. And I'm really not sure about that yet. I know right now there's really no budget to replace any of their equipment. That being said, I'm sure, if suddenly we got money in our budget, it's something we would love to do. But I can't see that happening anytime soon. But Jason, it's funny, I spoke to him the other day and I mentioned that to him. And he's like, I'd love to get rid of all the gas stuff, but obviously you need money to do that. So I don't know if that's in the cards right now. Of course, further down the road, that's definitely something to put in there. As for a ban, I guess I would support that. I feel like it's not so fair to ask the residents to do it and not the village. But again, that would have to be something that we would have to talk about.
Well, maybe that's something we could also put in the suggestions, is have one of them include the village and one of them not. And then also one thing we had talked about before was mentioning in the proposal that the village replace, like anytime they need to replace an item, that they replace it with an electric or like a sustainable alternative versus the gas.
Yeah, definitely put that as a suggestion. It's pretty expensive to do that, but definitely put that in your recommendation. I would support that.
I think it's, Stephanie, I think it's really important that the village takes the lead on it. So if the village is not following whatever's decided, in this community, people are going to be outraged.
I totally agree with you.
So even if it were seasonal,
right,
and the village just didn't blow leaves.
Yeah.
And then
I mean-
people would see, Ashley's brought that up a bunch of times, just mulch it.
Yeah.
And then they would see that as an example of a reasonable solution under the current financial circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that as well. So,
That's why that solution, and I think, Bridget, you're right. If we just leave it to the board, give the 3 suggestions, let the board decide. But I would think the board is going to see themselves that the seasonal is probably the most logical solution, because then the village can take the lead and just not blow leaves during certain time of the year. And
And I know-
maybe encourage the mulching. Maybe that could be something that we could educate people on, the Instagram or the Facebook, saying, you notice there's no leaf blowing going on right now, and this is what the village is doing instead.
Yeah, maybe we could even follow the crew one day while they're mulching the leaves or something and just show people what they're doing. One question also I had was, I know a lot of this also came from noise complaints. So as far as we would do a seasonal restriction, but also suggest maybe timing, like no blowing after whatever, or no blowing this time, or one or the other. What are you thinking about for that? Like, is there a suggestion that you would want put forward about timing, like no blowing on weekends or no blowing on Friday nights or something? I don't know.
Right.
But
well, it's actually interesting you're saying that, because Paul, and I missed the last meeting because I was away for vacation, but there was, I don't know, Greg, do you know what happened with his noise ordinance that they had on the agenda?
Yeah, sure. So it passed.
It passed.
Yeah.
So what was the timing? They changed the time that you can start, doing noise, making noise on the weekends. I think, what did it go, 9:30 on Saturday or
so, yeah.
10?
At least
What?
we made some revisions, but I'm pretty sure it was 9:30 off the top of my camera.
And then Sunday was, what time was Sunday?
Let me see if I. Probably around 10ish, but don't quote me on that. But again,
Okay.
because we did make some revisions. So the local law, after Keenan Bean, our law firm, revised it for us again. But I know this for a fact that the revisions that we agreed upon as a board, that we talked about, all passed.
And it's been 8 a.m. on weekdays for leaf blowing and construction and that sort of stuff. I know it's been without looking it up, that had been my understanding.
I think they changed it for the weekend. I don't
Yes,
think they
weekend.
changed.
It wasn't during the week. The week stayed
Yeah.
the same, just the weekend.
Right, but the weekend, just to confirm, the week is 8 a.m.?
Is it 8 a.m.? I think so.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I know the
I
week.
think
the
it
week
is. We would have to check,
Yeah.
but they just made the times for Saturday and Sunday later.
that makes sense, because it was very disruptive.
Yeah,
sometimes.
so they just changed that.
Yeah. Okay. So that applies to leaf blowers essentially. Okay. So maybe that's something we think about this time, is do we want to keep the suggestions that are already in the 2019 proposal, or do we want to amend those somehow, and then vote on them and bring it forward? But I think hopefully we'd be able to get something done really soon, because I know you said you would like this to be figured out before spring cleaning starts and everybody gets their leaf blowers out for no reason. But hopefully we can get something done soon.
Can we take committee votes that aren't at meetings?
Greg, so are you saying not at live meetings? Is that
In other words, if we spent, say, the next week or two, we all looked at it and then made any suggestions we wanted to make, and then if we got it into
Yeah.
a we could.
We've done that via email before with Alex. So I would assume, I think, remember that one time we had something that we had to approve and everybody just emailed yes or no. So I think we should be able to do that this way. So maybe we could try to figure out kind of in essence what we want to do, and then we can via email, and then we can vote over email, if that sounds like it would be okay, Greg. I don't know.
I mean, unless it
Yeah,
violates open meeting law somehow.
Just something, I just want to comment on that. So again, that was before, again, it shouldn't be an issue after Tuesday, and I'll explain that just as briefly as I can. So that early in the month, that's when actually we discovered the Sustainability Committee was supposed to be subject to the open meetings law all this time, which in theoretically means that you would have to put, like, vote all these different issues on an agenda for the meeting itself. But
Mhm.
as I did say, and again, I'll get into this later, we have a public hearing to amend that on Tuesday. And right after that, we should be voting on the resolution to modify that. So that means that this committee wouldn't be subject to open meetings law. So then in theory, then it should not be an issue. Again, I'll double check with Chris, but to my knowledge, as of now, then we could do that come after Tuesday.
Okay.
Oh, so it's on
Automatic-
the agenda for the trustees to amend that.
Yes, so I put it on the agenda to have that amended. And so our very helpful lawyers at the law firm Keenan Bean, actually, I was on the phone with one of their lawyers as I was talking with her, and she was walking me through it. I mean, she wrote the law, I didn't change it herself, but going through the suggestions, and she changed it. So the wording, so that way, so the issue here is that, again, I'm not a lawyer, so just bear with me for a second. But the way she explained it to me is that because of the way it was worded, that we had to interpret as that the village was following the open meetings law for this committee. But she changed it in a way so that's no longer going to be the case. So come Tuesday, then we no longer have the requirements that, for example, that when the governor's executive order expires and we want to have virtual meetings, then we don't have to post like all of your addresses or wherever you're Zooming from, or you don't have to let like random people into your homes if you're Zooming. So that's the good news, is that that, again, unless Trustee Fisher can tell me anything differently, but it appears that when at the last board meeting, when we voted to hold the public hearing itself, that pretty much everyone was in favor of changing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, the reason why, Robin, I don't know if you remember, because you were on the committee before I was, they used to make decisions about trees. Whether you
Michael,
take
you
a tree-
remember that also.
So I came on but right after they took that away. I don't know if you were there for that, but that's why.
Yeah. It was a major thing in Rybrook about the trees.
Yes, so that's the good news, is that come Tuesday, we will have the same flexibility as all the other committees.
Okay.
How's
So you're
that?
sure it's gonna pass?
Unless I
There's no reason for it not.
yeah, there's no reason for the pass. And as I said, because I discussed it at the board meeting, it's myself actually at the last meeting, and again, the mayor and the other 3 trustees that were there, all including again Trustee Klein, were all seem understanding and all seem to be in favor of passing it. So again,
And
it should be-
the meetings are posted, the dates, the times.
yes, so I'm going to do that anyway.
Actually, anyone can go.
Yes,
If
and
they want, when
exactly.
they're in person.
Yes, and or we can let them on here. So as long as we're
Right.
keeping it open to the public, then we're fine.
Just
So yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, exactly. As I said, going forward, I'm gonna record all the meetings anyway, including the one that we're on currently. And I started a YouTube channel for us, so everyone's gonna be able to access all the meetings. And if someone was to come on here, I mean, is it unlikely to happen? No. But if someone were that curious, they wanted to see what we're discussing at this moment and live time, then I would be happy to let them in, and they can give their input or concerns.
Oh,
But they
you
just
know,
wouldn't have any voting power. The only ones that have voting power just to recommend to recommend certain courses of actions are you guys. But anybody else can come, but they can just give their input or they can give their opinion. That's it. Only you guys have that power just to officially like vote on we could say like an unofficial resolution that you would like the village to address.
you know, that could be something good too, Bridget. If there's potential interested candidates, we can always suggest that they maybe go watch some of the meetings.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and but before that was actually one of the other issues too, because I looked at the legal wording, and that one of the issues was another reason why we had to interpret it as we're following open meetings laws, because it said that you guys pretty much oversaw it, which again, you guys make recommendations, but we don't oversee the policy itself. That's up to Fisher and the other trustees to make the ultimate decision. So once we changed all that, again, now that alleviates that issue.
Perfect. Yay, so we don't have to let people into our houses anymore.
Unless you want to.
Yeah, unless you really want to, if you
Yeah,
wanna,
yeah.
if you wanna do that.
If you
Yeah,
wanna
now you
have
don't
a
have to.
sustainability party, you can. Nobody will stop you. Okay, so what was I gonna say next? Oh, Ashley, I saw you on mute for a second. Did you have something you wanted to touch on for the leaf blower?
I mean, not anything in particular. I mean, I've said a bunch of these things before, but my concern about having more restrictions on weekends is, for residents who take care of their own property because, they're working all week and they really only have the opportunity to do it on the weekends.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was looking again to see what other villages did because I mean, I just think it's easier for the landscapers if we're as consistent as possible. But it looks like most of them have bans on gas leaf blowers, from spring through September, but they allow them in the fall season. And it sounds like we don't necessarily want to allow gas blowers in the fall season. I mean, I don't want to have gas blowers in the fall, but again, I have just like I'm looking at the additional, goal of just trying to make it easier for landscapers. I mean, one thing that Stephanie and I chatted a couple days ago, and one thing that I was interested to hear, and I hadn't known before, was that a lot of these landscapers actually have electric blowers because they have to use them in other municipalities. And then when they're here, they just use the gas because we allow it. So, I mean, that also just made me more comfortable with having a requirement to have electric blowers. If these guys already have the equipment, like just use it here too.
Mhm.
So that was something I hadn't been aware of.
Can I also, when you guys put together your presentation to us, could you also maybe list out like maybe just like 5 or 6 towns that are near us and what they're doing, just so we can see it
Yeah.
right there and compare?
And
Our
that's the thing is
proposal has
the
a
only town near us is Rye because Harrison doesn't do anything. Port Chester doesn't do anything. I don't even think Rye Neck does anything. Like Scarsdale and Larchmont after Rye are the 2 closest towns.
So the 2019 proposal has a chart on it that lists Tuckahoe, Yonkers, Scarsdale, Dobbs Ferry, Larchmont, New Rochelle, Pelham, Pelham Manor, Sleepy Hollow, Terrytown, White Plains, and Mamaroneck. It has the dates that they have gas blowers banned and some of the details. So
Okay.
we can definitely include
And
that in
I-
our packet as well.
I've sent you guys the link with that.
Mhm.
It was the source of that data because there are a few updates.
Yeah,
So
there's
might
a
as well,
few more now.
um,
So we'll
What
definitely
about
include that
Greenwich?
in there.
What does Greenwich do? Anything?
I don't know.
I don't think they do.
I know
But I mean, that's
everybody.
exactly when I was listing the municipalities, because like my landscaper is from Fairfield County, Mo
Yeah.
Green, and he does a lot of work in Westchester.
I'm trying to see if I can find any right now.
In the meantime, I just want to ask, so are you guys planning on doing like a presentation about this?
So I think last time we had just submitted this like 3-page proposal. I know we've done like several presentations. I don't want to hit them over the head with like what they
No,
already.
it's fine either way.
Yeah.
Again, the reason why I'm just asking, because again, just so you're aware, again, I have to put it on the agenda. So for example, last month, like as like I told them to send me anything, it's been a month later, I've heard nothing from them. So again, anything that is of like that's submitted at a meeting has to go on the agenda. Again, I need to, or Chris,
Right.
myself, both of us need to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that maybe it would be good, Bridget, for you to come and present things to us, but I feel like we maybe for like the end of April or beginning, maybe not beginning of May, maybe end of April, because, Jason has to take office
Yes,
and
I
then there'll be
agree.
2 meetings in April. So maybe at his second meeting, which, let me see, what's that date?
No, I agree, Trustee Fisher, because again, the 22nd is Mayor Rosenberg's last meeting. So out of respect for him, we're trying to keep it as light as possible. And then April 12th, which is the first meeting in April, that we have our annual reorganization meeting. We're going over this with Chris. So that one is probably not, honestly, not the best one to do it.
So what's the next one after that is the 26th?
Let me check my phone.
It's every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that it should be. I'll double check with Chris, but again, he told me April 12th is the first one, so then I'll double check with him to make sure it's the 26th.
So maybe Bridget, maybe you want to plan on that. Does that give you guys enough time?
Yeah, I think so. And so April 26th.
Yeah, but I'll come again. I'll email you, Bridget, just to make sure that's the correct date. But again, I do know for a fact.
That's a Thursday.
It might be out of.
No,
I
April
have
20,
a
April
travel plan.
26th is a Tuesday.
It is a
Yeah, so I have travel plans after the 26th, literally.
yeah.
Done, but I'm sure, Ashley or somebody else. Or
Yeah,
I could
anybody. It
Yeah,
doesn't have
anybody
to
can
be
do it.
you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, Ashley, you love to talk about the.
Yeah, but yeah, Trustee Fisher's right. It doesn't have to be you, Bridget. Anyone who wants to do it can do it.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to have anything formal.
I
So
think that's plenty of time though for us to because we already have the framework, because we've proposed this so many times. I feel like we have it all ready to go. It's
Well,
just
the
a
all the
matter
better.
of
You know what?
refinement.
You know what? You guys, we're missing two really significant things from this 2019 document. Number one is enforcing it,
Mhm.
because someone needs to enforce it. And number two, what are the repercussions for
Violations.
violations? And this was the same thing we had, with the plastic bag ban. We had to figure out, well, are we going to fine the retailer or whatever?
Mhm.
And I don't know on this, I'm looking now at the chart, because I don't think none of the municipalities in the chart, the chart doesn't specify what any of the violations are. I mean, I think it's usually like,
It's funny. I talked to a friend of mine from Rye, and she
Mhm.
said that they have that law, but there's people using their leaf blowers that are gas and nobody does anything.
Exactly. And there's no point in having it if it can't be enforced. I mean, I do think there should be 3 strikes, you're out kind of thing. Not out, but fined. 3 strikes and you're fined. I don't know,
I
but
mean, we can definitely, have the police go out and give warnings.
We've had this discussion before, right?
We
We've had
have.
it about the trees. We had it about the idling. We all said we were going to do citizens arrests. This is very familiar.
I think more so I'm less worried about the individual homeowners and more about the actual big businesses or just businesses that are doing it, because they're the ones that have multiple homes that they're servicing in the area. So I think with them, it would be better to enforce it more with the businesses than with the individuals at first. Because I feel like it could turn into a thing where it's neighbors that don't like each other just calling and being like, oh, they turned their leaf blower on, get them. Which is
And also just be prepared. The last time this came up before our board, I don't remember when it was, a bunch of landscaper owners showed up.
So Alex told us last time that I guess she had invited all of the landscapers union, and we're like, don't do that again. Don't invite them.
Don't invite them.
Because it really is more for the villagers. It's more for the people. And of course, we already know what they're going to say. They don't want it. So
No, they're like, it's a hardship. There's a million reasons why.
yeah, but I mean, just looking at, and we'll send you the chart as well, the one that Ashley had sent to all of us. You can see almost every other town in Westchester has a ban in place. So it's not like we're the only one that's imposing this upon them. If they want to work here in the county, they need to have electric. So I don't
Stephanie, when you had said that, some of these guys have electric blowers, but they don't use them. Do you know which ones?
I you know what? It's funny. I had talked to one guy. It was really just one guy I talked to who does a lot of this area and does a lot in other towns, I guess Rye. So he had said that he has some of the equipment, but he doesn't use it here because it's so much more money and it's so much easier to use the gas. It's funny though, my landscaper is from Greenwich. So when I haven't seen him, in months, but when I see him, I'll ask him. But it was just this one guy who's kind of big around the area. So I feel like for the smaller ones, it might be hard.
Do we know, I mean, there are certain trucks you always see around our village. Like, do we have a sense of, Vito Luongo? Isn't that one of them? Like, why, like,
Mhm.
there's always those trucks. I mean, does
I think
do,
he
like,
does the
a
school
third-
too. Like he'd be somebody good to ask
I
if
think
he
this-
has the equipment.
Why
I
would
don't-
it be more expensive if
I-
you
yeah,
already
exactly.
own?
So
the-
this is what I've been told. Those lithium batteries
Yeah,
that they use for the battery
Recharge.
operated are
right.
more expensive. And not only that, but they overheat very quickly. So you have to give them downtime.
Oh,
That's what I've been told.
the overheating part I get, but I would think a lithium battery could be recharged many, many times.
I agree, but I guess it's more
so-
money.
But gas is expensive for the,
Now, yeah.
But we need like our landscapers who, like my landscaper, to just come and dispute all these things. I mean, I'll say to him, so and so says this, and he'll be like, well, blah. Like we just don't have all the answers in our hip pocket. But I'm sure
even if he
they're
gives
there.
us the data to be able to debate it,
Yeah,
that would be all we'd need, would be, this.
I'm sure it's there. I'm sure even if you like just do a Google search, like
Yeah, we can start a list of all the anticipated.
the FA, the
pushback.
FAQ,
Yeah, exactly.
the frequently asked.
We need him to come as a witness to give stand.
Yeah, I mean, he speaks on panels, all the time. and,
Yeah.
but-
I think that'd be great to have the input of an electric landscaper that actually works in Rybrook. Just in case, people try to show up and say, oh no, because I think there's always like the anecdotal, like, oh well, it's more inconvenient and stuff. But I mean, most properties in Rybrook are not the size of a golf course. I don't even think it would definitely not take a full charge of one of those batteries. And I've seen them, like they have multiple and they charge them on their car, like they charge them on their vehicles.
Oh,
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like gas is easier in the way that they feel like sometimes they're higher powered, you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to recharge it. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a good enough reason to not use the electric.
And in terms of fines, it may have to be significant enough that some of the larger landscapers may just think, oh, that's the cost of doing business. I'll just pay the fine and kind of ignore the law. So, enforcement aside, but we may have to figure out where we want to set or if there's any escalation in terms
Right.
of actually finding people.
but
The
again, they
other-
have to be caught doing it. And we've had some real issues with that, with the trees and with the idling and with the car. So I would hate to give a, like when you threaten your kids and then you don't carry through, then you have nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Can I do like a citizen's arrest? I already go around and
Yes,
yell
yeah.
at landscapers and snowblower guys anyway. That's what when we did this in 2019. Catherine Husseini and I, we
yes,
were like, we're gonna get in our car, we're gonna drive around together.
yeah. And
My
say,
thought
do
was
not
like-
make me come down there. It will not be pretty.
Bob
One
and
thing I
Sherry.
do know about gas versus electric is that the gas ones are not the electric ones are not as powerful and they need to be on a cord. And the ones that are cordless are definitely not as powerful. That's the
Right,
other thing I do know about them.
right. Well, that makes some sense. The being more expensive to run, gas is so expensive, all of that is so expensive right now, I find it hard to believe that.
And also the health of the workers. I mean, it's very detrimental. Because I literally live directly across the street from somebody that owns a landscaping company, and he'll run, because he has his whole family there. They will run 5 of those gas blowers at a time on his very, very small property, because that's that's what they do, so they can get it done really fast. They're literally blowing like dirt around and stuff, like there's no leaves, and the smell of it is very, very strong, and none of them are wearing masks, so it's like very detrimental to their health to be around that.
I mean-
And we have that mentioned in the proposal too, but
I mean, part of it, like Stephanie says, yeah, the electric isn't as powerful, but a lot of the things, especially for the spring cleanup that they do too early, like for anybody, who geeks out on this stuff, it's, you have you have, like eggs of insects and like other critters that if you're blowing it too early, you're killing all of like the little bee homes and like you shouldn't be blowing the stuff that strongly anyway. It's just not necessary. I mean, there is an element of like getting used to an aesthetic. I mean, now that I'm in my mindset, if I see someone this time of year that has a bright green yard, it just looks ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? And as you get used to how things like should look when they're following their more natural course, then you don't necessarily want everything, blown so clean. Like I'm not good at coming up with my words, but sterile, like a sterile
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah, like the perfectly manicured yard that has the artificial kind of grass.
Yeah.
My thought on the fine, what she had touched on with like fining people is, I was thinking less of like, I was thinking more along the lines of like Ashley said, like a 3 strikes rule with these companies, where if we catch you doing this multiple times, you just won't be able to operate within the village any longer. And that's like the ultimate, like maybe it's not 3 strikes, but like, like if you continue on after you've been warned and warned and
Right,
warned,
like an
and, like,
escalation.
you're gonna take away your
Authority-
permit or whatever, I don't know. But
Does the village have the authority to tell a landscape that they
because
can't
they give
in
a
the
permit,
village
right?
if it's the private homeowner hiring them?
They don't.
They don't, and there's no permits
No.
given to be a landscaper. Anyone could be a landscaper. That
I
is
thought
something
for
that's
some reason they
between,
had to have a
You're
permit.
supposed to have to
No.
be registered.
I think you have to have a
Right.
business
Messed
license.
up.
Maybe, I don't know if you have to register with.
They're
the
supposed to be registered with the town, but not necessarily village.
Oh, so maybe that's what I was
Sorry, I have to-
thinking. There was some sort of.
I mean, I've been told a little
Has it
bit,
been
this is the
discussed?
county
Oh,
have to be registered, but again, I haven't heard anything myself. Again, this doesn't mean, again, because I'm still learning this myself in terms of the village. I don't think so, but I know that, again, from my understanding, there is a registration process through the county.
Can the fine be different for businesses versus residents?
That's, yeah, I'll have to ask Chris in terms of, and also get probably or consult our lawyers.
Okay, because I know like Shio said, it's like obviously with the business, they're like, okay, $20, whatever.
Yeah,
Like
anything we come up
we're
with,
gonna
too,
do what we want,
I definitely,
versus-
like, especially when we talk about like enforcement and punishments. And again, my role here is just to be honest with the neutral observer. But definitely anything that, if we ever agree to anything, we'll definitely want to run it by our lawyers, because again, we want to make sure that legally that we can do anything that we intend to do.
Yeah.
I also think that even though you'd be targeting the landscaping businesses, it's going to impact the people that have been hiring these people for years. And so in a way, you are punishing the homeowner right
Mhm.
alongside with the landscaper. So maybe it would be better to be direct with the homeowners and say, if your landscaper violates this rule, you are going to have to bear the responsibility. Then they'd be more likely to say, the landscaper, I just don't think I can keep you because I don't want to keep paying fines.
Hmm.
Is that a possibility?
Maybe
Because
we can.
they will be
suggest multiple-
impacted.
Maybe we can suggest multiple types of enforcement that I don't know.
I don't know. I
It's
just
never
think
fun
that
to like think about like, oh, how do I tell somebody that they're doing something wrong? Because nobody ever likes it, And obviously, I think before, if I'm remembering correctly, we had talked about having like 2 warnings and then a fine on like the 3rd time.
But right, but if it's directly on the homeowner,
Mhm.
then they would make the choice not to keep that landscaper who keeps
Yeah.
violating the rule.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
so it seems like one of the things we can look with all of those towns that bans, we can look to see what they do.
Right. Right.
And it probably would make sense and would sort of ease the path for the board if it's something that we're not coming up with that's unique that, we see in other places in Westchester.
Do you remember how mad everyone was at us with the plastic bags versus the cloth bags? And they got over it, I think.
Oh my gosh, I have to say Ulta in Port Chester still gives out plastic bags. And I have like reported them so many times and they don't care. They're like, yeah, we don't care. We're gonna keep doing it.
Have we decided on this, on the seasonality in terms of the exact time frame? Are we going to follow? Because I see there's a lot of variation in that 2019 document.
So
I
if
know.
we go to Ashley, I don't know if everybody got that link from Ashley. I can resend it to the group if there is what is it showing?
What is the
It's not that
in
different.
season? When can they be used? What's is that what you're asking?
Right,
when-
like May 1st to September, 30th, or what are the dates that we're proposing? Are we following Rye, the neighboring towns, or?
So most of the municipalities, it looks like, allow blowing from either the last week of September or the first week of October through the second week of September. And then they also allow it in the spring from the third week of March through the last week of April. So that's when the majority of them are allowing it. Otherwise, it's banned.
So it's like 2 weeks in September and like 2 weeks in the spring? That's in
It's
season?
more like, let's see, it's more like, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's 8 weeks in the fall, which is October, November,
Okay.
for the most part. And then it looks like it's kind of like the end of March through April for spring.
So it's like 6 weeks 8 weeks maybe in the spring, 6 to 8 weeks in the spring, and about 8 weeks in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only one that has it totally banned across the board is Ossining. That's because they did it in phase 1 and phase 2.
Mhm.
So phase 1, they did a partial, and then phase 2, it's completely, unless you own more than half an acre, you're not allowed to use a blower. So,
And do we need to list out any exceptions for like emergency use or
Yeah.
storm cleanup? And
so the 2019 one does list emergency use, I believe. I know we had that, like, if it was, there's some sort of
Irvington, yeah.
yeah, there, like, for instance, if there's like a disaster, or if there's a storm and they need to do that, it's allowed then.
Mhm.
And also I think if you, what else did they list? I'm trying to find it on here. But I know we did consider that last time. We did build that in where there was a few exceptions.
Mhm.
Like for fire department or whoever, if there was some sort of emergency that they needed to clear things for.
And maybe we can list some of the benefits to the town and also any sort of education that we're planning on healthy leaf management
Yeah.
training or workshops or social
This
media.
proposal has air quality, noise pollution, climate change, and it lists the sources.
I was thinking even from like financially, if people aren't blowing leaves during that time and we're promoting leaf mulching, then the town doesn't have to gather the leaves, and will they save
Yeah.
money in that respect? I don't know.
Yeah, we
Might
could
be a
do
different thing.
Yeah, I think it would be good to, once we know that this will take place, to start doing like educational series via social media about, how to leaf mulch. I know when I posted a while back on Facebook and Instagram about leaf mulching, a lot of people did comment and they were interested in it, and it seemed to capture people. So I could definitely post more about that and maybe do some videos to show people how to do it. Or how to explain to their landscapers that they want leaf mulching. So, okay. If there's nothing else, I will move on to the second item on the agenda.
Sorry, Bridget. Can we have should we like make detailed comments on the document?
Yeah. So what I can do, I know before
Like
what
Google
we
Doc
did
or-
was we started a Google Doc where people could
Okay.
actually edit and like put their suggestions in. So we could do that again. And then once we finalize it, we can send it out to everyone in the email and people can, I suppose, vote on it as long as Greg says that's okay. And vote on that as a finalized form. I think so I can do that, or I don't know if Greg, you would be the one that has to do it, but I can create a Google Doc where we can start editing and
Perfect,
making
thank you.
suggestions. And we can even start a second one just to like have sources, like different sources that we might want to add, or like different ideas we might want. And then I guess maybe our goal should be to try to, because if the meeting's going to be at the end of April, that gives us a little bit of time. So maybe we try to get it done in like the next 3 weeks, I think, like before the beginning of April, like have it all put together and ready. Okay. Anything else on that?
Great, thank you.
Okay, so let me, oh, here's the agenda. There it is. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is our seed exchange event. I think, did everybody get a chance to see the poster? So the library is going to be sharing that with everyone. We are partnering with RISE Sustainability Committee. They're going to be, hasn't been determined yet. I have a meeting, a Zoom meeting with them. When is it? Tomorrow at 11 a.m. So we'll figure out what exactly they're doing, but I think they're going to have a speaker potentially and maybe doing some sort of demo, but it should be a fun event. And it is going to be held outside. So we do have a rain date for the week after, but it looks like things are coming together nicely. And of course, if anybody wants to come and participate, you know, the more the merrier from the committee. But we're going to start, you know, posting on social media, the poster, the library is going to start sharing it, and so is RISE. So hopefully we get a pretty good turnout, but just wanted to update everybody on that. I don't know if there are any questions about that.
I do just myself because again, I haven't been to one. So how do you obtain like all the resources that you need like for the event itself?
So this one, we actually had a lot of seeds left over from the last seed swap event, so we didn't need to buy anything. And because we're asking people to bring their own seeds and plants, we're not going to have to purchase anything. The only things we might need any part of a budget for is like printing some materials, like educational materials. And what else am I thinking? I have tables, so I was the one that brought my own tables last time because that was just easier versus trying to get them back and forth from Village Hall. And then, yeah, so it's kind of a minimalist event, and like it doesn't need a lot of stuff, which is nice. Because people are really bringing their own things. I don't know if Rye mentioned that they might bring T-shirts and things along those lines. So I'm like, okay, yeah, they can bring those if they want, but we don't have any of those. And then I guess we might do a demo. So I would just bring my own stuff then too. So we shouldn't need too much. And I still have tons of, like I said, I have tons of leftover things in my basement. So I'm just trying to like get rid of all those brochures and things.
Yeah, because I'll be stopping myself. I mean, I'll be just a half an hour late because I'll be doing something else. Again, I'll be happy to fill that on in once we get through the agenda with the planting day event, as because I'll be doing both at the same day. But,
Okay.
if you guys want, let's get through the agenda first, and I'll be more than happy to fill everyone in at the end on what the progress has been made in that.
Awesome. Okay, so that's the seed exchange event. I also wanted to update everyone on our owl nest box little thing that we wanted to do with the schools. We kind of touched on this last time. I did reach out to both Port Chester and Blindbrook School District. Port Chester is the one that does want to participate this year. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but the middle school, they have a community garden, which is like directly across from the front of the school. And they're actually putting a whole wildflower field there. I don't know when that's supposed to be completed, But they're going to fill in the whole space surrounding the garden with native flowers, which should be really nice. And they have kind of a wooded area there, and they also have a wooded area kind of near the playground that they thought might be good to do some owl boxes. So I did send them information on what the project would look like, and they are interested. So right now it's just at the point of the principal just needs to approve it, and then they would be doing everything, and we would just provide a small stipend to them for building materials, which is about like $50 per box. They probably only do 2 of them. And then we would provide like suggestions on where to place them. And the students would be the ones who I would teach, I'm assuming, to monitor the boxes. And we actually have a really good wildlife photographer who lives in town. So, sorry. So I thought we could partner with him maybe to teach them how to like take photos of the birds from a distance, because you don't want to get close, of course. You know, they need to stay back like 150 feet. And, you know, iPhones aren't really going to do the trick there. So I was hoping that maybe we could get somebody with a good camera. I have a good camera with a nice lens too, who could help, you know, take some photos for them as well that they could use for their projects. But it seems like they're excited, so that's nice. I think it'd be a fun thing, and it's something that will also go on for years and years. It doesn't just stop, you know, after a few months, because wildlife will continue to use it. So I think that was it for the agenda this time. I know, Greg, you had some things to mention, but if nobody has any questions about that. And I can send you guys the flyer that I put together for the owl box. Blindbrook is interested. They just are so busy right now that they can't do it until the beginning of next year. So hopefully we'll be able to do something with Blindbrook High School beginning of next year. So
Yeah, so I just wanted to fill you guys in. I know you all asked for it in terms of I'll be updating you, of course, the next month's meeting as well. So at the Rybrook Senior Center, again, just to rehash, who wasn't there, or just to, if you don't remember, April 23rd, so on the same day as the seed exchange, but from 9 a.m. to about 11 a.m. Again, there's going to be like a planting day event. We're going to be planting like native friendly plants at the Senior Center. So what I'm working with now with the town, the Rye Town Sustainability Specialist, and Christina, who you know, Bridget, very well. Yes, I'm working with her as well as Vic Federico, who's also works with the town of Rye. Apparently, he helps maintain like Crawford Park and the other park that Rye helps maintain. And we're just trying to figure out exactly what plants are going to be best suited for that environment, depending on the sunlight and also the factors. I'll be honest, I know as close to nothing about this stuff as possible. So I'm just helping. I'm going to be a site captain, so I'm going to be helping manage the whole thing, and I've been helping coordinating all the different resources that we're trying to secure over from a vendor in Long Island, as well as getting everyone on the same page and help making sure that ironing out logistics and the times and everything. So that's what my role has been. And again, I'm leaving all the practical planting stuff to the people that I just mentioned. But that's where we are in that. Again, we are to be native pollinator friendly plants, but again, we're almost close to being done. Everything is coming along mostly smoothly. And it's just that, again, I'm trying to set up a meeting with the Senior Center director, as well as again, Melissa, Rick, and Christina, just so we could finally iron out what plants we're going to utilize, and then we'll place the order in Long Island. So again, if you guys want to come to that too, everyone's welcome. So it's going to be in 5 different locations. So the Rybrook one is at the Senior Center, so I'll be the site captain for that. Port Chester's doing their own thing. Rye City's doing something else, and a couple of municipalities, from my understanding, are doing something else as well. So it's for their Earth Day event, so it's a huge thing. But again, all are welcome to attend.
So I forgot what I was going to ask. We should probably promote that as well on the sustainability page. I don't know if they have like a poster they've made up or something that we could share, but if not,
they're working on it. She's working. Melissa Greco is working on a poster.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So again, I'll be more than, again, I think I gave her your contact information, but again, I'll be more than
Yeah, I've
happy.
talked to her.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to again set the two of you up again. So if you want to discuss, that's something you want to discuss, promoting
Okay.
those events. Again, I'm sure she would be absolutely down for that, to promote each other's events and so forth.
Is the, do you know, is the planting going to be in front of the senior
So
center?
yes,
or is
so
it-
I visited the site with Melissa and we spoke with the senior center director. So it's going to be kind of all of the above. So in the front, around the walkway, and on the back, there's some spots that we can plant there. So anywhere that we can physically put plants, we're going to put them. And the
Nice.
senior and Liz Rothfield, who's the senior center director, she was very excited. The seniors are going to love it. So it's definitely coming along nicely. So any space that we have for it, we'll definitely utilize it.
And the gardener that landscapes there knows not to use pesticides or anything.
I will
Once-
definitely notify him as well, just to, once we
I
figure
know
out.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. But that's why also I've been keeping the senior center director in the loop and all these different things, that way she's aware. But once we figure out exactly what it is, yeah, we're very close to that. I'm trying to arrange a meeting so that way we can try to iron that out. And then we'll proceed from there. But once we figure that out, it's about placing the order. And then
Yeah.
because Christina's willing, because she's an absolute sweetheart. She's willing to go out to Long Island and pick it up for us because she gets supplies from the vendor from Long Island. That's a personal friend of hers on the regular. So again, she said she'll be more than happy as long as she has 3 weeks notice. She'll be more than happy to pick up our supplies on one of her runs. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah, she's so nice. Her family are all florists, so that's how she knows all these growers. She
Yeah,
can
so
get
she's
it-
been a treasure because I have to say, like, to be completely honest, again, all this would not be possible without her because she's been the
Yeah.
one who's been helping connect us to the vendor in Long Island, as well as, again, she has her own knowledge that is really invaluable. Because I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I don't know anything about this. Again, I'm helping coordinate it and I'm helping put all the logistics in place, but I know virtually nothing about plants and what works best here. Again, if you left it to me, all of them would be dead. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, she's great. She's the one that did the circle, the pollinator circle at Village Hall. So she helped us do that, and she's great. So I know it'll turn out really beautifully, and I'll definitely try to stop by for that as well. On the same day because I know we had actually talked about doing the senior center before, so I'm really glad that that's going to happen now because that's a really good location. And I think hopefully we can put up some signage there too. Because I know at the Pollinator Circle, we got the butterfly garden signs, the metal signs, which are nice. So maybe we can get some for them as well to put up just to let people know that those are like native plants and kind of what the benefit of that is. So
Yeah, and also too, I'll be more than happy also because I'll be there for a while to let anyone who comes know to look that the CD Exchange event is happening right after. So if anyone wants to go to the library, go ahead. And especially for a lot of students who need service hours. I mean, I don't know if that's again how many people you're looking to have to do this, but again,
yeah.
if you need like extra sets of hands for what, I'm sure we can send some students who need hours over there, so that way they can be your free help.
Yeah, I know. And I know, Greg, that we did for the Pollinator Circle, we purchased a bunch of little, like we have gloves and we purchased some shovels and things along those lines. They should be somewhere. So, if you're looking for supplies, there should be some at Village Hall. I don't know where they are, but they're there somewhere because we did have like a nice amount of those for the students last time to use. And a lot of people brought their own tools as well. So, because there were gardeners that came and they all brought their own tools. Great. And that was it for the agenda. So I don't know if Greg, you said you had some things to mention to us as well.
1 second. I just for the public, if anyone's gonna watch us, I'm stopping the meeting now.